Tonight, almost double parking fine revenues for some Perth city councils. Human rights activists criticise state government's underage imprisonment. Good evening.
Also in news, binge drinking inquiry sparked a debate on the legal drinking age. And President Obama has announced 10,000 troops will be withdrawn from Afghanistan.
Some city councils in Perth have earned almost double amount of money in parking fines as they've predicted, sparking public speculation if the councils are after the revenue boost. Our reporter Shibs Wei has went to discover the public opinion and asked the Claremont Town Mayor whether that is true.
Parking fine revenues have more than doubled in many local councils, leading to speculation that city councils have stepped up enforcements to boost their revenue. According to figures from the West Australian, more than 225,000 parking fines have been issued so far this year, bringing in more than $16 million in revenue. The Perth City Council alone has made $6.7 million from parking fines. Some people think that this is just another scam to boost council revenues, while most are concerned about where the money goes.
It's a pretty good scam, or whatever it is they're doing.
Oh, no doubt. Well, it's like saying, why do we have speeding fines? It's just there to make extra money, but it's not really how much money they're making from it, it's what are they doing with it.
Depends on how that money's being used, I suppose.
They should put more parking area for some people to go to do something in the city.
A law is applicable with politics, so definitely we are trying, applying laws. On one hand, we're trying to avoid people from doing the same mistakes over and over, but on the other side, it can be a reason why they, it's a form of generating revenue for themselves.
Claremont Town Mayor, Mr. Jock Barker, admits that there has been a significant rise in parking fine revenues, but denies that it is using parking fines as a means to boost their revenue, and people should be more responsible for where they park. He also assures the public that the money collected goes in a consolidated fund to improve parking facilities in the area.
The problem that is occurring is caused by the people taking no notice about the signage that's around the parking bays and ignoring the time limits. People don't want to accept responsibility for their own actions, so they blame everybody else. They blame the rangers, they blame the councillors, they just don't blame themselves. And we would much rather that people come to Claremont and park legally, and we don't need the parking fines as a revenue raiser. We're perfectly financially viable without the parking fines.
Where does the money you collect from parking fines go to?
Well, it goes into the consolidated revenue, and it goes into making better the parking facilities that already exist. We've got a number of ACROD bays around the town. We look to improve the signage on the bays.
Shibs Wei, DHK News.
Human rights activist and lawyer Jerry Gagatos has criticised the government for putting underage people smugglers into maximum security prison. The policy came under fire as the Australian Federal Police used an 80-year-old wrist bone X-ray technique to determine the age of the smugglers.
A 16-year-old Indonesian boy is being held as an adult on people smuggling charges and as a result is imprisoned in a maximum security facility alongside convicted sex offenders. Under the federal government's policy, any alleged people smuggler found to be a child is sent back to their country without charge. However, in determining the ages of the alleged people smugglers, the Australian Federal Police uses an 80-year-old wrist bone X-ray technique, which has currently come under criticism. Gary Gorgatos is a lawyer and human rights activist who has criticised the state's recent decision to imprison the minor. We spoke to Gary earlier this week about the issue and asked him about the state's role in verifying the boy's age.
And the onus for age determination belongs to the Commonwealth. The onus always belongs to the Commonwealth for age determination. You can't go charging people till you've ascertained beyond a reasonable doubt age. And in this case, what we actually have are minors having their age disputed by the Australian Federal Police, for instance, and they have been sent for wrist bone age scans, an 80-year-old test that is non-fail-safe, that has been proven to be dodgy, and these tests are coming back and stating that these 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds are actually 19.
The issue has even attracted the attention of parliamentarians, with opposition frontbencher John Hyde accusing the Agricultural and Corrective Services Minister Terry Redmond of hypocrisy in putting cattle before children. Mr. Redmond is currently in Indonesia overseeing the impact of the cattle export ban. Currently, the boy is due to appear in court in August. Mr. Gogotos has contacted his school and family, as well as relevant Indonesian authorities, to confirm his age.
I learned from the family, according to them, that he was born in 1995, not 1991, that he was in school, junior high, the equivalent in Australia of year 9, which would put him at 14 years of age in 2009 when he graduated from the school, junior high in 2009, which would put him now at 16 years of age.
Moyukh Muzahid, DHK News.
West Australia Parliament Committee has conducted an inquiry about impact of binge drinking and illicit drugs on society. The committee has urged the government to raise the legal drinking age to 21 and increase the price of alcohol.
A press conference was held in regards to the issue of alcohol-related harm in Western Australia. The Education and Health Standing Committee focused around the discussion of reducing alcohol consumption.
Many countries and many states, alcohol abuse is not just a problem in WA. Alcohol abuse is a problem in WA, it's a national problem, it's a global health problem. And so other states and other countries are looking very carefully at their legislation, and many have changed their legislation so that the primary focus of their legislation becomes a public health focus, preventing the harm from alcohol.
One of the suggestions provided was to increase the minimum legal drinking age from 18 to 21 years old. Chairman of the committee and member of Legislative Assembly Dr. Janet Woolard said there were incidents of youth in Western Australia drinking, and many were underage.
During a media inquiry, the Premier commented that increasing the minimum legal drinking age will not be effective towards reducing harm and cultural excess.
I think 18 is the age of majority, it's the age of maturity in our country, and I think we should keep to that. People can vote, they can go into the armed services, they're treated as an adult under law, and I think that should be the drinking age. However, I don't mind a debate taking place.
Richie Lee, DHK News.
Education Minister Liz Constable has been embarrassed by the opposition, claiming they were given a watered-down version of the Special Needs Children School Funding Report. The Premier said he was not happy with the department's handling of the matter.
This week, the opposition claimed that they have received a watered-down version of the independent report of disability education in the Carson Street School from the Education Department. The received report does not include a paragraph stating the Department of Education had an ethical or moral responsibility to continue funding the program, which it should have had. The Premier, Colin Barnett, said he was unimpressed with the way this matter was handled by the Education Department, but wants the matter to be investigated by the Public Sector Commissioner to get facts straight and pass it on to be handled by Parliament.
I have asked the Public Sector Commissioner, as a matter of urgency, to investigate this, to talk to the Education Department, to talk to the school, to talk to the Minister's staff, to talk to the opposition spokesperson Ben White if he's willing to cooperate, and to get the facts correct. That's what needs to happen. And as I've said today, because I was very disturbed yesterday and today, that opposition members accused the Public Sector Commission of not being objective. So therefore I've said the report will not even come to me, and I am the Minister responsible for public sector management. It will actually go straight to the Parliament. So I will play no role in the preparation of that report, unless I'm asked for any comment.
Ben Wyatt, Labour's Shadow Minister of Education, also wants the Minister's office to be investigated and the investigation passed on to public sector management rather than the Parliament.
How can you have an investigation into potential deceit at the highest levels of government when the Minister for Education herself is excluded from that very investigation? If Dr. Constable or her staff has doctored this report, she must resign.
Isabel, Huther, DHK News.
China has confirmed the release on bail of artist-activist Ai Weiwei, but said he was still under investigation and could not leave Beijing without permission. The Chinese authorities confirmed that Mr. Ai has been released on bail due to his good attitudes in confessing his crimes and because he suffers from diabetes. He was in police custody for nearly 3 months, and earlier he told reporters that he is not able to speak to the media whilst on bail.
US President Barack Obama has recalled 10,000 troops to return home from the front line of Afghanistan by the end of this year. The change of strategy comes as the al-Qaeda leader bin Laden was killed during a raid on his Pakistan compound earlier this year.
The president has made the announcement from the White House and said these long wars will come to a responsible end as the US mission shifts from combat to support following a decade of war. He said, "The beginning but not the end of our effort to win down this war would involve a total 33,000 troops being withdrawn by summer 2012, setting out his strategy for conditions drawing to a close." He explained that an estimated 70,000 are expected to remain in the country until the plans for transition are completed in 2014. John White, HK News.
Approximately 20,000 students in Chile took to the street to protest against the education policy as the government's popularity hits new low. Chile correspondent Brian Ramir reports.
Up to 30,000 students took to the street in the Chilean capital Santiago to demand reforms. They are calling for education at all levels to be nationalized, lower fees for college entrance exams, free travel, and a voice in the government. Their focus is the country's Minister of Education, as Alfredo Bielman, the spokesperson for High School Coordination Assembly, explained. "We don't believe we can tolerate this situation any longer. Joaquin Lavín, the minister, is ignoring us. We demand his immediate resignation. He is not working on our behalf to get solution to our problems," he said. Violence erupted at the march. Police respond with water cannons and tear gas in a bid to disperse the crowd. A number of students were arrested, while at least one police officer was injured. The mass rally was one of a number of protests ranging from strikes in universities to students staging sittings which haven't been staged across Chile. For DHK News, Brian Ramirez, Santiago, Chile.
Time now for sports with Shibs Wei.
And excitement is coming along the football pitch.
That's right, Ivan. The exciting news is for the Olyroos. Australia beat Yemen 4-0 to advance to the next phase of the Olympic qualification in Newcastle on Thursday night. Newcastle-born Hoffman scored 2 superb headers, with the first coming in the 18th minute from a Rocky Visconti free kick and the second from an Aaron Mui chip shot. Hoffman scored again in the second half to complete his hat-trick, and Mui, who has played in the Scottish Premier League for St Mirren, scored the final goal. And just before I go tonight, a quick reminder of tonight's AFL match will be Sydney versus Collingwood at the ANZ Stadium, and Fremantle play Brisbane at the Petson Stadium. And that's all the sports. Enjoy your weekend. Ivan, Anna.
Thank you, Shibs, and that's how the world looks tonight.
See you same time next week. Good night.
Good night.